What's up guys, it's Zenith, finally back at home. The 2017 school year, Melee year, and now calendar year are all finally over, and what a year it's been. First, I just want to take a little bit of time to thank you all for more than 3,600 subscribers. Pretty much all of them have been gained in 2017, and I can't thank you guys enough for it. You guys really do mean the world to me, and I can't wait to bring you guys even more and better content in 2018. Now on the Melee side of things, aside from impressive come-ups, and really exciting tournaments that have been held. Of course, one of the most controversial but exciting things to come of the Melee year is UCF, or Universal Controller Fix. Now, if you follow this channel or you just happen to stumble upon this video, chances are you already know what UCF is, so I won't waste you guys' time just going over it again. But if by chance you do not know what it is, I will link articles below in the description talking all about it. They will be able to word it much better than I can in 15 seconds. Now, whether you're for or against UCF, one thing remains constant: it is definitely spreading. I happen to personally be at Shine 2017, which I do believe is one of the first, if not the first major to have UCF implemented. And since I've seen it at many other majors and even at a local level. So if you're a Melee player and you happen to attend a major or even a local, in 2018 there's a very good chance you're going to encounter UCF. Well, what does UCF bring to the common player? It brings consistent dashbacks and it brings shield drops. Now the thing about dashbacks is players will be able to implement it pretty instantly. All you really have to do is dash backwards. However, when it comes to shield dropping, it's a little bit trickier, and that's because UCF only makes it so that the axe or sung method of shield dropping is accessible to all players with any controller. Now the thing about that is it's such an obscure technique that nobody really practiced this unless you already had a notched controller, or you happen to be lucky enough to have a controller that was able to shield drop right from the get-go. Now what I aim to do with this video is tell you guys a way I think will be very beneficial in learning how to shield drop in this new method, and that way is with tape. Now it's a bit janky and it is by no means a substitute for actually professionally notching your controller, but it is interesting and it definitely has merit. And while I don't think it's an incredibly reliable way to have your controller notched for tournament play, it is an absolutely great way to practice Melee and practice your axe or sung shield dropping methods, just as a way to get a little bit ahead of the curve in that sense before UCF hits the scene. Now, a real big disclaimer: this is not my idea. This was actually posted by URSI SSBM on August 1st. I'm not sure if he was the first person to ever talk about this, and I'm not trying to steal his thunder. I'm only trying to spread information and help players to try to, like I said, get ahead of the curve when it comes to this. So I'm actually going to omit the part of the video where I would otherwise tell you how to tape your controller, because it'd just be rehashing what he said. So if you're interested, please pause this video. I will have his video in the description. Go check his out in order to learn how to tape it the way that he does, because you do need to do it a kind of specific way, I guess. Now I happen to have my controller taped a different way, and in some ways it's a little better, in some ways it's a lot worse, but I'll be talking about the way I personally taped mine in this video. So with all that out of the way, without further ado, let's get into the video. So once again guys, I gotta strongly urge you to go back and watch his video if you haven't already. I'm going to be building off a lot of the things that he talked about in his video, so just so you don't get lost, make sure you go and check his out. He also talks about how to calibrate and reset your control stick in order to get precise values when you're notching or taping your controller, which is very helpful. And come back here if you want to know how I tape mine. There are just a few things I did differently that I thought could be done a little better. Again, not knocking his way, just kind of building upon it. Number one, I used a different kind of tape. He used this kind of tape. I guess from the brand Smart Living, it's called invisible tape, but if it's Scotch brand, I think it's called magic tape. You'll probably find this in your house. It's very common, and it's generally fine except for the fact that it rips pretty easily, as you'll see here. So I didn't feel it was like the best tape to use. Of course it works, you know, and this doesn't have to be perfect. Again, you're taping your controller in order to get notches. You're not looking for absolute perfection, but I just found that tape, like this packaging tape, or I don't know what kind of tape it is, but you can find it in rolls that look like this. It's just more see-through and plasticky. It doesn't have this kind of like hazy look to it and texture. They tend to just not rip as easy. If it's packaging tape, it's probably going to be more sticky. So yeah, that's the first thing. So assuming that you followed everything that he did, your controller will look somewhat like this. You could of course trim these off. This is just kind of crude. Of course, like I said, I did this method first, even myself. And one problem I kind of had was that the tape was a little too thin, so it wasn't really making too much of a difference. And if I stacked too many on top of each other, then it would then rip, or it would move off or break off. So like I said, of course I used heavier tape, and I taped mine from the inside out, and I'll show you how just real quickly. So in order to do this, just take out your controller like you normally would, and this is assuming you kind of already know where the notches of your controller should be. On my real controller, I actually kind of marked it with marker, and I took these pieces of tape off. But you can actually leave these here if they're not causing too much harm. For the sake of the demonstration, I'm actually going to take mine off. But what I found effective was just taking a bunch of packaging tape and just kind of layering it on each other. I found that 2 or 3 worked pretty well depending on the thickness of the tape. With this kind of tape, I did 3, and with packaging tape, I found that 2 works pretty well. And then you just want to kind of take a pair of scissors and cut it so you get that nice straight edge. And then, like I said, I had mine marked, but then you just place it wherever you need it to be. And now that you opened up your controller, you can actually access the inside of the shell. So I went ahead and I taped mine all the way in the back. Now you want to make sure that this is as flat as possible, otherwise it might interfere with the stick. You also want to make sure that your tape only runs vertically, it doesn't run horizontally. Otherwise you run the risk of your control stick actually getting caught on it, depending on how high or low it rests on here. But it's better to be safe than sorry. Just, tape isn't exactly something you want on the inside of your controller, so just try to use as little of it as possible. But this tape isn't too thick, so definitely just having it like this doesn't affect the control stick too much. I've played with it like this for a while now, just practicing on my controller, and it doesn't feel too bad at all. Now again, this is much more durable, I found, than just having one single piece of tape on the outside, but it still isn't 100% in durability. For example, my controller now looks incredibly ugly with all these Sharpie markings and an excessive amount of tape around the edge, but this was just to make sure that nothing moves. Again, I'm just practicing, so I'm not too picky on my controller feel in particular. I'm just trying to learn shield dropping and implement it. I even had tape run on the bottom side right here, which isn't the best idea because when you press down, you don't get that click. Now I've gotten used to it. Like I said, having the tape down there, as long as it's not too thick, will not affect your control stick the way it moves too much. Don't go overboard like me, because you can kind of hear it grinding up against it a bit, but it really doesn't affect my play at all. The control stick snaps back, so don't use as much tape as I did, but I do definitely think that a thicker tape and taping from the inside out is the better alternative. So yeah, that pretty much does it. I mean, I just kind of wanted to get this concept out there because I know the majority of you guys are probably Melee players. A lot of you guys also love controllers. Again, with UCF coming, may want to implement this. So thanks and credit to URSI SSBM for the idea. Hopefully either method works well for you guys. Not that tape on your controller gives you any kind of precise or durable notch. The one on my left is actually really good, and the one on the right works well, but just not well enough that, it should be like something you should rely on or turn to if you're playing in like a tournament. But yeah, I hope this helps you guys out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers to 2018.